The Conjuring Last Rites is being billed as the final Conjuring movie, and Ed and Lorraine Warren's most disturbing case yet. And I wish I could say that I agree with the latter, but in reality, it felt more like a greatest hits tribute to the franchise than it did its own unforgettable installment. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
So the Conjuring universe of films produced by the master of horror, James Wan, features 9 films as of the recording of this video. And yet, to me at least, there hasn't been one film in this franchise that has came even close to the quality of the first 2 Conjuring films. Coincidentally, those were the only 2 films in the franchise that were also directed by James Wan. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that although I do appreciate what he's done here, it's very ambitious overall and not something we get in the horror genre very often. But at the end of the day, these movies need James Wan front and center in the director's chair with his hands in the dirt creatively in order to be considered truly special. Because just attaching his name to some of these films clearly does not produce the same results. And that's not to say that every movie in this franchise is unwatchable. I'm simply saying that I think it peaked in 2016 with The Conjuring 2, and the franchise has never reached those heights again from a pure quality perspective.
It's true.
As far as the main 4 Conjuring films, I'd be lying to you all if I said I remembered anything about the 3rd film. I just remember it being completely forgettable, despite it trying to deviate from the winning formula in some aspects. The Conjuring Last Rites, in a lot of ways, tries to take this franchise back to its roots, while also trying to wrap up everything in a nice bow, and I think it succeeds in some regards and completely fails in others. Last Rites takes us to the year 1986, where we get an older and wiser Ed and Lorraine Warren. 2 people that are now trying to live a somewhat normal life that doesn't involve fighting demons. This is, of course, until a family in need pulls them back into the fray.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
And here's my first major problem with this movie. It does try to go back to basics with the whole demon tormenting a family angle. But the movie does not put in the legwork that some of the better films in this franchise did, and because of that, it feels unsurprisingly, significantly less impactful. In this movie, the screen time is split between some more personal developments in the Warrens' lives and what's going on in a small town in Pennsylvania between a family and a demon. And because of that, to me at least, the haunting stuff felt a little bit more phoned in this time around. Usually by the time the Warrens show up, this family has already been put through hell and you can feel their desperation. But this time, that part of the movie, the part that sets all of that up, feels somewhat glossed over. Like they're telling us that the demon wants the family dead, but they aren't actually showing us enough of what the demon is doing to them. You are telling me that they are desperate by the time the Warrens show up, but you've done nothing to make me believe it as an audience member.
Put some effort into it!
Time with that family is sacrificed in the film so we can get more time with the Warrens in their personal life. And I didn't have a problem with seeing more of the Warrens' personal life, to be honest. I really like these characters. They are always a high spot of whatever film they are in. And Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are forever Scream Queen and Kings as far as I'm concerned. But the way that this movie feels like 2 different movies, 2 different ideas really, that have been smashed together, it kind of gives you the impression that they were trying to do a bit too much when trying to wrap everything up. I actually think I enjoyed watching the Warrens be normal people for once, more so than I did the actual horrific stuff going on in the film. Which is obviously kind of a weird thing to say for a Conjuring movie. That's not to say that there weren't a few moments that did remind me of what this franchise once was. There are moments in the film where I did get feelings of genuine tension and uneasiness, like I used to, which in effect does make this movie a vast improvement over the third film.
That makes sense.
But then they would kind of bring this movie crashing back down to earth with an overusage of CGI and jump scares. It's very uneven in its narrative, as well as the way that it executes its most horrific moments. When I think about the Conjuring films overall, two major scenes stand out to me. There's the clapping scene in the first movie and the painting scene in the second movie. And both of those scenes work so well because of the way that James Wan chose to execute them and build tension in a genuine way. And I think Last Rites is missing a little bit of that attention to detail, as well as a commitment to make these scenes as realistic as they can possibly be.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
We also see some familiar demons in this movie, as well as some familiar motivations from the main demon. And it all very much makes it feel like we are retreading the same ground once again. Show me a new and interesting threat that rivals the Annabelles and Valaks that James Wan made so iconic. And there's just none of that going on here. The threat in this film feels very paint by numbers, despite the fact of them trying to tell us that the stakes have never been higher. That's why I say that this film feels more like a greatest hits compilation than it does a genuine new adventure. They even have a ton of cameos at the end of this film of characters from previous Conjuring movies. And these cameos are supposed to make you feel feelings of nostalgia, I guess. But when they happened, I actually ended up feeling pretty much nothing.
I don't care!
I know I sound very down on this movie, but I do need to reiterate, it wasn't all bad, and I did enjoy aspects of this film. And there were even moments where I was genuinely interested in the story that they were trying to tell. It just wasn't anywhere near the level of enjoyment some of my favorite films in the franchise gave me. Also, just like with a lot of horror movies, you do have to question some of the actions and some of the decisions made by the characters in this film. There's a new boyfriend character in the movie who is dating Ed and Lorraine Warren's daughter. And he's pretty much a walking, talking cliche that has little to no business being involved in some of the scenes that he is actually involved with. Like maybe if you're going balls deep into yet another exorcism situation, maybe tell this inexperienced and naive guy who knows nothing to hit a motel or something. It just feels like a bad idea to bring him along in the first place and then to keep him around when you realize what is actually happening.
Why?
The main Conjuring films, at least the first two, have a reputation for delivering some banger third acts. And they really did try to pull that off once again in this film. And in some ways it was fine, but in other ways it did feel incredibly hokey and unsatisfying this time around. Like it's just too obvious of a solution that they were very clearly and overtly setting up in the worst way possible throughout the entire course of the movie. Bottom line, this is an improvement over the previous film, and it does do a lot of things right as it pertains to expanding on Ed and Lorraine's story and their characters, as well as giving them a somewhat satisfying conclusion. But to me, it dropped the ball with the main reason why a lot of people are going to go watch this movie, that being its horror elements. I would say I had an okay time with The Conjuring Last Rites, if we are looking at it in a very bare bones way. But it also left a lot to be desired, and because of that, I would say that it's a highly flawed, but still entertaining experience at times. And that's why I'm going to give The Conjuring Last Rites the Cathouse.
Saved by kitty litter.
Y'all be cool. Y'all know.